This is Ham College, episode 68 for August 31st, 2020. Ham College is brought to you by ICOM and the new revolutionary IC705 with optional multifunction backpack. And by hamstudy.org, a great way to study for your next amateur license exam. Good evening and welcome to another episode of Ham College. I'm Professor Thomas.
And I'm Dean Martin.
And we have a special class for you tonight. This one, there's some tough questions on this. These are not some that I don't think you can really reason them out. You're just going to have to know the answers on them.
That seems to be a common theme here the last couple of weeks.
It does.
I think last week it was fairly easy, but we have had several of them like that.
Yeah. Well, it's the extra exam, so it's kind of going to be that way. Well, we're going to have some special things to talk about tonight. A little later on in the show, we're going to talk about this radio right here and how you could win in the AmateurLogic 15th anniversary contest.
You're going to win that exact one?
Yeah, well, no, not this exact one. You probably want a real one. This one right here is my cardboard.
You don't have your license yet, you can win that one.
Right, yeah. If you can figure out where to plug in the microphone. Well, what did we talk about on last month's episode?
Well, you made it kind of tough on me because you didn't put it on the sheet here.
I did.
Well, we talked about E1E, the Volunteer Examiner Program, but there's not any details on it, so
No.
that's what we talked about.
Yeah. And what are we going to talk about this month?
Well, that's a real good question because I hadn't really looked at it much. It's going to be as much a surprise as it is to everybody else.
It's going to be miscellaneous rules, including
RF. Oh, yeah. Why don't we throw in some RF power amplifier stuff, too?
Like external ones?
Yeah, and some prohibited communications, maybe a little spread spectrum and auxiliary station stuff.
Yeah, and maybe some Canadian amateurs operating in the U.S., special temporary authority and control operator of an auxiliary station.
I like how you think. That's a good idea.
That's a lot of topics to cover, but there are miscellaneous. So
yeah, there's always that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we might as well get on into it. With the first question here, I don't know. I'll jump out there.
Jumping on head first, huh?
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in and ask you this one. I haven't really looked at it.
It seems like a setup to me.
Well, we won't know.
We won't know till we get there.
Yeah,
let's see.
I don't think this group here is the ones where you could, have like a domino effect if you started with the right one. I think all of these are going to kind of be equally the same. So my question to you is, if you were watching the show live and you felt like, yeah, and you felt like...
That's a good save.
Yeah, you were only having half the fun that you should be having. Where is the other half?
Well, the other half is over at AmateurLogic.TV /chat.
It is.
I do know that's a fact because I've got both of them going on here, and I'm having the full level of fun allowed by law.
Okay, what I really wanted to ask you, though, on what frequencies are spread spectrum transmissions permitted?
Oh, come on.
Is it A, only on amateur frequencies above 50 megahertz.
B, only on amateur frequencies above 222 megahertz.
C, only on amateur frequencies above 420 megahertz.
Or D, only on amateur frequencies above 144 megahertz. Whew, this is one I have very little exposure to. Frequencies are spread spectrums permitted. Only above 420. I don't think it's 50. So I don't think it's A. I don't think. It could be wrong. I don't know the answer to this one. I'm guessing, man. I'm thinking maybe it's up into the UHF 70 centimeters band, maybe the C. I really don't know the answer to this one. I'm going to go with C.
Okay. And that's
just because I think it's up in the higher frequencies. I'm pretty sure.
And that's what most people in the chat room are saying. Unfortunately, they're wrong as well.
Well, at least I'm in good company.
It's B.
I'm pretty sure this was a setup now that I'm reflecting on it.
Only on amateur frequencies above 222 megahertz. Wow, you know, there's no way to reason that out. You just have to know it. Wow.
No, and I don't know it, so obviously, but I do now.
Yeah. Yep.
In about 6 years, when all the question pools get renewed, I'll be good to go when we do a refresher.
I hear you.
What privileges are authorized in the U.S. to persons holding an amateur service license granted by the government of Canada? Okay, so A, none. They must obtain a U.S. license.
B, all privileges of an amateur extra class license.
C, the operating terms and conditions of the Canadian amateur service license not to exceed U.S. amateur extra class license privileges.
Or D, full privileges up to and including those of an amateur extra class license on the 80, 40, 20, 15, and 10 meter bands. You know, I think this
one I think I know the answer to this one. There's only one there that really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this one you can kind of reason out, I think. Everybody in the chat room is saying the same thing I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's C.
It's got to be.
Yeah, you can operate whatever you could with your Canadian license, but not beyond what you could if you were a U.S. amateur extra. That makes the most sense, I think.
It does.
Okay. Under what circumstances may a dealer sell an external RF power amplifier capable of operation below 144 megahertz if it has not been granted FCC certification? Is it A, it was purchased in used condition from an amateur operator and is sold to another amateur operator for use at the operator station?
B, the equipment dealer assembled it from a kit.
C, it was imported from a manufacturer and a company that does not require certification of RF power amplifiers.
Or D, it was imported from a manufacturer in another country and was certified by that country's government. Okay, this was kind of wordy. I'm going to have to kind of read it. Even though the fourth time, I'm going to read it one more time here. Under what circumstances may a dealer sell an external RF amplifier capable of operating below 144 and is not granted FCC certification? So like a homebrew thing or kit maybe. Okay, he was purchasing used condition from amateur operator, sold to another amateur operator. That sounds plausible. Equipment dealer assembled it from a kit. I don't think. It's imported from a manufacturer country. I think it's going to be the only one that kind of seems plausible to me there is A. I think if they got it in used condition from an amateur operator and they're just going to turn around and resell it to another ham for use at their own place there. So maybe it was built a kit or something for. I think it's going to be A.
Okay.
I don't think the equipment dealer is going to assemble from a kit.
Most of the answers in the chat room are A. I'm going to agree with you. I think it's A as well. And that's the one that makes the most sense.
Okay, here, how about one for you? Ready?
Sure.
Which of the following geographic descriptions approximately describes line A? A line roughly parallel to and south of the border between the U.S. and Canada.
B, a line roughly parallel to and west of the U.S. Atlantic coastline.
C, a line roughly parallel to and north of the border between the U.S. and Mexico.
Or D, a line roughly parallel to and east of the U.S. Pacific coastline. This is one of those that,
Well, do you have a picture?
well, I do, but I wasn't going to cheat and look at it. But we will look at it in a minute.
Wouldn't they show you the diagram if you're taking the test?
No. This is all you get, is the question.
Okay.
All right, so what is line A?
It's a line.
I'll have to be honest. I had no idea what they were talking about here when I was entering in the questions. But the answer, let's start at the bottom. A line roughly parallel to the east of the U.S. Pacific coastline. No, I think there is a line there, but that's not line A. C, a line roughly parallel to and north of the U.S. border between the U.S. or and north of the border between the U.S. and Mexico. No. B, a line roughly parallel to and west of the U.S. Atlantic coastline. No, it's a line roughly parallel to and south of the border between the U.S. and Canada. What do you think, Dean? Did you?
I don't have a diagram, and it's been a long time. That sounds plausible. Line A.
Most of them who put an answer in the chat room are saying it's A.
Okay, then I'm saying it's A too. Although they did steer me wrong on the other one.
And it is A. Well, I mean.
Oh, you know why? Because they say in Canada they say A a lot.
You know, that never occurred to me.
It should be line AYE, eh?
Yeah. Or I think, is it that or is it
EH?
Yeah, I don't know. Mike could chime in the chat room and tell us. I think it may be EH. I don't know.
He's in there. He'll have to clear it up for us.
Yep. EH and then a E with apostrophe over it. I'm not even sure you can pronounce that here.
Well, there you go. Anyway, there's how you're going to remember which part of the country it's in. It's up by Canada, eh?
Yep. A. You know, I had to do some digging to find that diagram you were talking about. And it's not the diagram, you won't see it on the test. I found it right here, though, at the FCC.gov website.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, check that out. Line A is just south of the U.S.-Canadian border, and line B is just north of the border. Now, why we need those two lines, I'd have to do some more digging to figure that out. But I'm assuming, you know, the two countries have different allocations. So that has got to be something to do with it. So there you go. If you didn't know what line A is, it's the one right there that says line A. There's also a C and a D over there. It's kind of dividing off Alaska. I guess.
I'm not sure how to tell you how to remember that one.
Yeah. I've got a question for you.
All right.
Amateur stations may not transmit in which of the following frequency segments if they are located in the contiguous 48 states and north of Line A. Is it A, 440 megahertz through 450 megahertz?
B, 53 megahertz to 54 megahertz.
C, 222 megahertz to 223 megahertz.
Or D, 420 megahertz to 430 megahertz.
There's either a lot of folks that are cheating and looking at the answers or live close to the border up there, because everybody's saying D in here. Oh man, I shouldn't have said anything. Never mind what I said. That doesn't mean
D.
they're right.
I'm going with D.
That doesn't mean they're right now. So.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So let's work through it anyway. 40 to 450. That's common used repeaters and stuff are in there. I don't know much about the 220 megahertz. I had one radio that did that a long time ago, and I didn't have it for long. Now, I don't think it's 53 in the 6 meters. So I do think it's D, 420 to 430. I think what's down there? Is that satellite or digital? No, 434 was satellite. It must be the digital stuff that's down there. I'm going with D.
Okay.
Just little birdie whispered in my computer screen over here beside me too.
Well, I would say, yeah, it's either A or D. I'm pretty sure it's not, down 53 to 54 megahertz.
Yeah, and I don't think it's in the repeater section, so it's got to be D.
All right. Well, let's see. And you are correct. With no hints at all.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Now stay tuned for my next trick.
Okay. Well, I'm more concerned about my next one right now.
Under what circumstances might the FCC issue a special temporary authority, or STA, to an amateur station? A, to provide for experimental amateur communications.
B, to allow regular operation of land mobile channels.
C, to provide additional spectrum for personal use.
Or D, to provide temporary operation while awaiting normal licensing. I think we can reason this one out. Under what circumstances might the FCC issue a special temporary authority, or an STA, to an amateur station? We'll start at the bottom. D, to provide temporary operation while awaiting normal licensing. No. They're not going to let you skirt around having a license. C, to provide additional spectrum for personal use. That doesn't sound right to me either.
I think the temporary operation, that's called CB.
Well, yeah. B, to allow regular operation on land mobile channels. No, they wouldn't give you a special temporary authority for that. A, to provide for experimental amateur communications. That's got to be it. That's the one that makes most sense to me. Chat room. Yeah, they're all saying it's A. So that's my answer.
I would agree with.
Okay. And it is A. But we'll be back in just a moment, and we'll continue on because we got more questions for you. Get out and be active with ICOM's new IC705 and its optional multifunction backpack. The IC705 is your perfect QRP companion, as you have base station features and functionality at the tips of your fingers and a portable package covering HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 70 centimeters. This compact rig weighs in at 1 kilo, or just over 2 pounds, with RF direct sampling for most of the HF band and IF sampling for frequencies above 25 megahertz. 5-watt battery operation with BP272, or 10 watts with a 13.8-volt DC supply. Modes include single sideband, CW, AM, FM, as well as full D-Star functions, a large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, and live band scope with waterfall. Integrated GPS with antenna and GPS logger, micro USB connector, Bluetooth, and wireless LAN, and there's a micro SD card slot. It comes standard with the HM243 speaker microphone, and it supports QRP and QRPP operations. The perfect accessory for the IC705 is the LC192 optional backpack with a special compartment for your IC705 and room for accessories for soda activations or just a day in the park. The IC705 has now received FCC certification, and ICOM expects products to be shipping to dealers by the end of September. Visit ICOMAmerica.com/amateur for more information about this and all the great ICOM radios. What do you say we give away something?
Hey, look what I found. We can give these away. I've got a nice Ham Crew t-shirt somewhere. Well, you got me cropped here, so I can't really tell. Nice Ham Crew t-shirt. You'll look good, as good leaving the Ham Fest as you did when you got there. And a nice ball cap to go with it. As well as what other goodies Jesse puts in the bag, which I'm sure there'll probably be some others. But I guess that depends on what they have in at the time. But this is one of my favorite Ham Fest t-shirts right here. And it can be yours. To get yours to enter the contest, you need to send an email to hamcollege@AmateurLogic.TV. You don't need to be licensed. All you need is a name and an email address.
I'm going to reach into the hat, and I just did, into the virtual hat here, and pulled a lucky winner out for this week's contest, or this month's contest, and that is going to be Craig Emmett, N1KY. He said, "Howdy, Professor Thomas and Dean Martin. Love the show. Please enter me in this month's contest for the sweet ICOM swag."
And he's in the chat room, so congrats, Craig.
Oh, wow, okay, cool.
You'll be hearing from Jesse really soon about getting yours.
When may an amateur station send a message to a business? A, when the total money involved does not exceed $25.
B, when the control operator is employed by the FCC or another government agency.
C, when transmitting international third-party communications.
Or D, when neither the amateur nor his or her employer has a pecuniary interest in the communications. And you should know what this one is, and most everybody probably does already. You can't really do anything to make money, so it's not going to be A. You can't do anything on ham that's going to make you money like that on the amateur radio bands. So it's not going to be A, no matter if it's only $25 or less. And the control operator is employed by the FCC or another government agency. It's the same. It's the same thing. They have the same rules as we do on the amateur bands. And transmitting international third-party communications, and I don't think that really even comes into play, but this one does. When neither the amateur nor his or her employer has a pecuniary interest in the communications. So that's going to be like I think if you're sending message to the hospital, things like that. Anyway, so the answer is going to be D. I am sure of it. It's almost like I had a premonition, saw it in my mind.
Yeah, I saw it in your mind too. Okay, well, next question.
Okay. Which of the following types of amateur station communications are prohibited? A, communications transmitted for hire or material compensation except as otherwise provided in the rules.
B, communications that have political content except as allowed by the fairness doctrine.
C, communications that have religious content.
Or D, communications in a language other than English. Which of the following types of amateur station communications are prohibited in the rules? Well, I think we can reason this one out. D, communications in a language other than English. I don't think that's prohibited, because if you're talking to a station in Germany, if you can speak German, why not? So,
Sure.
C, communications that have religious content. Well, I don't think that's prohibited because there are religious networks that are on the air. B, communications that have political content except as allowed by the fairness doctrine. I don't think that's prohibited because you hear a lot of political content. Now, it is good practice to not have politics. It's not illegal. So that only leaves A, communications transmitted for hire or material compensation except as otherwise provided in the rules. Yeah, I'm saying A.
Yeah, we just kind of discussed kind of that on the last question too. So I would agree with that.
Yeah. Well, let's see. And it is. Which of the following conditions apply when transmitting spread spectrum emissions? And I know you really like this topic. A, a station transmitting SS emissions must not cause harmful interference to other stations employing other authorized emissions.
B, the transmitting station must be in an area regulated by the FCC or in a country that permits spread spectrum emissions.
C, the transmission must not be used to obscure the meaning of the communication.
Or D, all of these choices are correct. I'm thinking it's probably going to be D, but I'm going to read back over it just to be sure. Which of the following conditions apply when transmitting spread spectrum? A station transmitting must not cause harmful interference to others. That's kind of a given. We shouldn't cause harmful interference to other stations anyways, no matter which modes you're in. So A should be true. The transmitting station must be in an area regulated by the FCC or in a country that permits spread spectrum. And that should be true also, I think. C, the transmission must not be used to obscure the meaning of any communications, and that's true. So I'm going with D. All of these choices are correct.
I'll agree, and everyone in the chat room agrees as well. All those
So they're
choices,
quite agreeable tonight.
all of those are correct.
Who may be the control operator of an auxiliary station? A, any licensed amateur.
B, only technician, general, advanced, or amateur extra class operators.
C, only general, advanced, or amateur extra class operators.
Or D, only amateur extra class operators. Who may be the control operator of an auxiliary station? I think any licensed amateur operator. Let's see, over in the chat room, they're a little split on that one.
See, I would have picked B, but I was afraid I was wrong after I listened to you.
Well, don't ever listen to me.
The novice is only CW.
Yeah, that was a tough one. They were saying A, B, and C in the chat room there. Wow. Yeah.
So we got one buzzer each tonight.
Yeah. So I guess it's the novice that could not operate an auxiliary station, and this could, this could be. Well, I guess the first thing you'd want to know is what is an auxiliary station. this is a little bit to know about an auxiliary station. There are several forms of auxiliary operation, such as remote control of a station at a different location, like a repeater on a mountaintop, where a radio link is used to make one-way transmissions of DTMF tones to change its operating parameters. That's one example. Another one is voice links between two or more stations within a system of stations, like point-to-point links for repeaters' remote receivers back to the main repeater site, a dedicated point-to-point link between different repeaters in a system of either full or part-time linked repeaters, a combination of remote control and point-to-point voice links, or point-to-point links from the receivers of a remotely located station back to the station's control operator at their control point. So if you were not sure what an auxiliary station was, that's kind of what it is right there. It's not the station that you're sending your communications on, but it's one that's involved in those transmissions for remote control or linking them together, or that type of thing. That link we just showed you there will give you all the details, a lot more information than that, on exactly what a remote or an auxiliary station is. And I have another question for you here, and this might be the last one for tonight.
Oh, so there's no chance for a tiebreaker. If I lose this, if I miss it, this is a tiebreaker. But you don't have a chance to redeem yourself.
No, I don't. Which of the following best describes one of the standards that must be met by an external RF power amplifier if it is to qualify for a grant of FCC certification? A, it must produce full legal output when driven by not more than 5 watts of mean RF input power.
B, it must be capable of external RF switching between its input and output networks.
C, it must exhibit a gain of 0 dB or less over its full output range.
Or D, it must satisfy the FCC's spurious emission standards when operated at the lesser of 1500 watts or at its full output power. Okay. Must produce full legal output. It doesn't say that it's full legal limit amplifier, so I don't think it's going to be A. That's because the way it's worded. Must be capable of external RF switching between its input and output networks. I don't think that's an FCC certification thing. Exhibit a gain of 0 dB or less. It's no gain. Must satisfy the FCC spurious emission standards. Now we're getting somewhere. When operated at the lesser of 1500 watts or its full output power. So when you crank it up, it can't be releasing spurs greater than what the limits are or the regulations state. It's got to be D. It must satisfy the FCC spurious emission standards when operated at the lesser of 1,500 watts or at its full output power. And that is my final answer.
And that's what everyone's saying over in the chat room. I'm inclined to agree. And it is D. All right. I just want to comment on that, on some of those answers there.
Okay.
The answer A, it must produce full legal output when driven by not more than 5 watts. That's not right, because most linear amplifiers take more than 5 watts of drive on HF now, maybe they don't have to. I mean, you could make it some other way, but the ones I've used have all taken more than 5 watts.
And then 5 watts to the full legal output, which would be 1,500 watts.
Yeah, because, probably most people running amplifiers don't have full legal output. So that would say you can't have an amplifier, or they're not going to certify one unless it's, legal limit. That's not right.
Right.
And the other one I wanted to comment on was C there. It must exhibit a gain of 0 dB or less over its full output range.
Yeah, that's like no gain.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. There is no gain at 0 dB. And there's loss anything less.
Quarter wave.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty easy to rule that one out.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's all the questions we've got for tonight. But we're going to come back and talk a little bit about the 15th anniversary of Amateur Logic that is coming up in October, and how you might win a nice prize package. In the meantime, though, not you. Are you new to the ham world or an existing amateur operator who wants to take your license to the next level? Study for your radio license exam at hamstudy.org. Hamstudy.org is a free online learning tool powered by ICOM. It was created by Richard Bateman, KD7BBC, Michael Stufflebeam, KV9G, and Rich Porter, KK6GKE, and it uses a modern web design to enhance the experience of studying for your technician, general, and amateur extra exams. Since 2013, hamstudy.org has helped new and existing hams to familiarize themselves with the question pools, use stats-based flashcards to focus on material they need to learn, and take practice exams to gauge progress. Visit hamstudy.org on your desktop computer or mobile device. Register for a free account at hamstudy.org to access personalized study history and other site features. Prepare for an exam in an intuitive and comprehensive manner. Check out hamstudy.org, powered by ICOM, for free learning tools. Good luck on your next exam. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to give away. Yeah, it's coming up on the 15th anniversary of the first episode of Amateur Logic. That episode, part of it was filmed during the approach of Hurricane Katrina, and then it wasn't released for another month. And
yeah, that wind that's blowing out there, that was the hurricane wind blowing in a little bit.
Yep. And we didn't know if there would be an episode 2. We just knew there was going to be a 1. So,
well, we don't plan farther than that.
Yeah. That's about as far ahead as you can safely plan on things like this.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're still going 15 years, and once again, ICOM, MFJ, and some other great companies have sponsored another contest. So we've got some things we're going to be giving away here in October. The grand prize is going to be one of these right here. This is just a cardboard mock-up.
The cardboard cutout of your own.
Yep. And this is the ICOM IC705. Now, they will be shipping into the U.S. around the end of September. Dealers should be receiving them. And Ray has assured me we will have one to give away in October. So it's a new hybrid radio. Base station performance and functions are packaged in a compact and lightweight portable size. It's perfect for SOTA, POTA, or some other on-the-air location. It has an output power of 10 watts with an external 13.8 volt DC power supply, or 5 watts with an ICOM BP272 lithium-ion battery pack. That's the same battery that fits the ICOM 51A handy-talkie as well as some of their others. It operates on HF 6 meters, 2 meters, and 440 megahertz with D-Star DV, single sideband CW, AM, and FM modes. It features RF direct sampling system. That's a software-defined radio in the truest sense, not one that's just taking an IF signal and then demodulating it. It has high-speed, high-resolution, real-time spectrum scope and a waterfall display that's incorporated into the compact design for the first time in this class of radio. Users familiar with real-time spectrum scopes and waterfalls seen on the IC 7300 and 9700 can now use it in field operation. Utilize the base station features without the price of one in a compact radio. And you can quickly monitor band activity, find a clear frequency, or find where the signals are. It's got D-Star functions built in, which this is the first for a QRP radio. It's got the latest G3 gateway and DV mode features, and it has direct access to the D-Star network with terminal and access point mode. It does photo sharing, as we've seen with the IC 9700. And you can share photos with it or an IC 9700 radio without a computer. GPS functions, enhanced field operation with the built-in GPS receiver and antenna. It includes logging the RX and TX locations via DPRS, near-me repeater search and scan, QSO recording and metadata, and internal clock synchronization. That does require a micro SD card, which the unit has a micro SD card slot built in. And there's an optional backpack. The ultimate accessory to go with the IC705 is the LC192 utility backpack for field operations. The IC705 stays secure with a mounting lug that's equipped with a safety strap. So when you put the radio in here, it can be locked in and you just open the flap, operate the radio, and you don't have to take it out of the pack and you don't have to worry about it falling out. Adjustable internal panels for custom components and accessories like antennas, battery packs, or an afternoon snack, or whatever you want to put in there. The large 4.3-inch color touchscreen also has built-in Bluetooth and wireless LAN, a micro SD card slot, and it comes with the HM243 programmable speaker microphone.
You're also going to get a MFJ 2289 big ear HF antenna. It's an easily portable antenna. It's easy to set up and it's easy to tune. It's going to be a great pair for the IC705. So it's a good, tough antenna. You've seen me use it on a couple of the field day shows that we've done in the past. I really like mine. It's a good general coverage antenna. It can be tuned down to really low SWR, anywhere between 7 and 55 megahertz. So that's going to cover a lot of your bands there. They're good, strong, weather-resistant stainless steel whips, and once it's assembled, it'll stretch out to an impressive 34-foot span. That's about twice the length of most other portable antennas. It's got MFJ's unique center block, sturdy 45-degree center block with MFJ's unique high Q matching system. So you'll have a pair of ears to really help you bring in the weak signals that a lot of the other sessions may be struggling with. And in addition, to tie it all together, you're going to get some RG8X coax cable from MFJ as well. It's also going to come with an optional MFJ 1918EX tripod, mast, and a carry bag combo. In addition to that, you're going to get an MFJ 4115 power supply. It's a good compact power supply. It's great for traveling. It weighs just 1.5 pounds and it's going to fit nicely in a backpack. Provides 13.8 volts DC power, 15 amps continuous, enough current to power most VHF and UHF or QRP radios.
You know, I did not know that they offered that in a complete package like that. The big ears, antennas, and the tripod and the carry bag. You may want to work hands-free, or you might want to use a headset with this radio, although it does come with a speaker microphone. We've got, courtesy of Bob and everyone at Heil Sound, the Heil BM17 headset. It's a medium weight headset designed for emergency communications, but it's also perfect for portable and on-the-go operations. Single-side or dual-side models are available. The BM17 dynamic mic element is used with many rigs. In this case, you're going to get the BM17 IC electrete element. That's good for use with some ICOM radios that need a little extra gain in the microphone. Speakers in the BM17 are very sensitive and they don't require much drive from the transceiver. So that means you won't really need to turn up the volume that much and maybe use a little less battery power. The Heil AD1 adapters are available also for most popular rigs, and that will be included. So you don't have to worry about building up a cable when you get this microphone headset. You can get one of the Heil adapters and be ready to plug right in and go. And in addition to that, well, we've got one other prize that we're going to add. Well, it's actually a variety of prizes. This is the Forrest Mims Engineering Mini Notebooks and the latest version of Getting Started in Electronics from W5YI and Master Publishing. I have long been a believer in the Forrest Mims books. I've got a set right here. All of the volumes of the mini notebooks, as well as the Getting Started in Electronics. These are, all I can say is they're perfect for getting started in electronics or constructing projects, building things yourself, because Forrest lays it out so simple here. Everything, a lot of schematics in here for all kind of projects that you might want to build. I have built many things in the past, taking some of the various schematics and projects from Forrest's book and combining them together to make what it is I wanted to build. Like I built an audio mixer using some pieces out of these projects. I've built alarms and audio sensors and just all kinds of different things. And the good thing about these books, they don't bog you down with a whole lot of theory. He just jumps right in, shows you what you need to know to start learning and building. So you don't get bored, you know. You can immediately...
Yeah, I've got the set of the old original ones. I got it at Radio Shack years ago. I've still got them. I love those great books.
And the Getting Started in Electronics volume is a great one, too. It covers a little more detail on things in here about the different components. More information on them to let you know what's out there and how it operates. And you'll be getting the latest edition of this. There is a new edition that has not been out long. So the whole set of books here are Forrest Mims books from W5YI and Master Publishing. A great compliment. Now, not that you're going to want to build stuff while you're out, on a summit on the air or in the park. But when you're back in the shack, these are... You
got to go home sooner or later.
Exactly. And this will give you some good things to do. Well, that's it. That's the prizes we've got for this year's contest, and
there's some nice ones, too.
That's all you need for QRP operation. So let's talk about how you can win that. Well, we've shown you the prizes now. The qualifications, you've got to be a licensed U.S. or Canadian amateur radio operator with a U.S. or Canadian shipping address.
There's only one entry per contestant. Sending more than one entry disqualifies the applicant.
The winner is responsible for any taxes that are incurred.
The winner agrees to the use of his or her call sign and name in promotional and news items related to the contest.
Contestants must not be an employee or affiliate of AmateurLogic, ICOM, MFJ Enterprises, Heil Sound. How would you enter?
Well, it's funny that you ask. I can tell you. You should send an email to contest2020@AmateurLogic.TV with only your call sign in the subject line. Only your call sign in the subject line. Include your name, call sign, class of license, and address in the email message.
And the submissions have got to be made between Friday, August 14th and Monday, October 12th of 2020.
How are we going to pick the winner?
Well, What do you think would be the first good idea?
Well, I'm thinking it worked the last few times. So why don't we pick the winner by random number from the entries received? The winner will be announced on October the 16th episode of AmateurLogic.TV.
And if it's determined the winning entry does not meet the qualification requirements, another one will be chosen using the same method.
Find the rules and how to enter at www.AmateurLogic.TV/contest. You can see it at the bottom of your screen.
And we want to thank ICOM, MFJ, Heil Sound, and W5YI and Master Publishing for making this contest possible. And we especially want to thank our viewers from Amateur Logic and Ham College. For the last 15 years, we wouldn't still be doing this if it wasn't for you guys.
No, if you weren't watching them, we sure wouldn't be still just making them for fun. Although they are fun, I have to admit. But we really appreciate y'all hanging with us for so long, and hopefully you'll be there for a good while longer.
Yep. So you can go enter right now. Go check out the details, though. Go to the page we mentioned, AmateurLogic.TV/contest.
If I want to say, you should get a auto response that your submission was received. If you don't get it, don't keep sending so you get disqualified. Send one of us an email and we can check it. I've checked a few of them for a few people already. Anyway, we'll be glad to check that for you. Generally, they've been going out, but there's occasion sometimes somebody's spam filter pick it up or something like that. Weird will happen.
Yep.
But anyway,
And
just wanted
also,
to get that out there so you don't get disqualified.
if you have an AOL email address, you might not get the auto responder. Sometimes AOL has been bouncing emails back from our servers, so just be aware of that. But just send an email to George or Tommy at AmateurLogic.TV, and we'll check it for you if you're not sure.
Yep, I'm glad to do that.
Well, Tommy, I am sporting what used to be a one-of-a-kind model of an Amateur Logic brain T-shirt. I thought I would need that tonight because of these tough questions that we had. What if somebody else needed an Amateur Logic brain T-shirt? Where could they go?
You can't. I know where you can go get one, actually. You can go to AmateurLogic.spreadshirt.com. We've actually got those T-shirts. We've got the ones like you've seen us wear before. The ball caps, cups, show and polo shirts, although they were out of stock. I need to check and see if they're back. But if they're not, I'm sure they'll be getting some more in. But there's a lot of different swag on there right now. Amateur Logic and Ham College swag. So go check it out. Probably something you might like on there.
Before we go, a couple other things that we do want to mention. That is our social media groups that you can join us or check and see what's going on throughout the month.
Yep. So you can go to facebook.com/groups/Ham College. You can follow us at Ham College on Twitter. Or we also have a groups.io now, which we've had for probably a year or so now, maybe a little longer, but it's groups.io/G/AmateurLogic. And there's not a lot of traffic on there. If you don't want to get bombarded, that's probably the way to go to get your notifications when we're going live. So anyway, groups.io account is pretty neat. And you can set your email preferences to get one email a day, or you can get individual ones all through the day. So if you get too many, you can back it down to one easily. So it's a nice option for people that don't do the social media thing.
Yep, and if you want show notes on what's happened in various episodes of Ham College or Amateur Logic, you can find that at our wiki, AmateurLogic.TV/wiki. Well, Dino, I think that's going to wrap it for tonight. Do you have any final thoughts for the students before we go?
No, you guys did great tonight, and you bailed me out twice. Well, they bailed me out once. You bailed me out once, so I appreciate the help. Apparently, I needed it.
Well,
anyway,
I don't know.
It's been fun, and go get your contest entry in. And we will see you in a couple weeks for the next Amateur Logic.
Okay. Yeah, do join us then. And join us back at the end of next month for the next Ham College. But be sure to enter the contest like Tommy said there. No reason not to. Somebody's going to get a great package there. Well, thanks for being here, everyone. We appreciate you hanging with us. And for those of you studying for extra, good luck on the exam. Or those of you studying for any of the amateur radio exams, good luck on your exam. And just hang with it. Keep going over your questions. Do a little study there, and you'll get it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
7-3.
7-3. We'll see you next time. I don't know what happened. Does my video look okay?
You look like a Martian. When may an amateur station send a message to a business? A, when the total money involved does not exceed $25.
Okay, but you want to take the answer away?
Okay. Was the answer there the whole time?
I don't think so.
Maybe just... So I try to throw you a bone and you and you don't even notice. Contestants must not be an employee or a filament of Amateur Logic, ICOM. Did I say affiliate or filament?
You said a filament. Can't be a filament or an affiliate.